Here we have a problem in trigonometry. That is, we have to solve for x in the given trigonometric equation, and also the value of x has to be in this interval 0 less than or equal to x less than 2 pi, which covers all the 4 quadrants. Okay, now to solve for x in the given trigonometric equation, first let's simplify the equation over here. So first let me make the right side 0. For that we have to get rid of this 2 times cotangent of x. For that I subtract 2 times cotangent of x from both sides of this equation. Let me do it. So when I do so, this positive value, negative value will cancel. I'm getting cotangent x times cosine square x, negative 2 times cotangent x equals to 0. Okay, here, so I find cotangent x as the greatest common divisor for these two terms. Since cotangent x is the greatest common divisor for these two terms, we can factor cotangent x out. When I factor cotangent x out, so I have cosine square x left in the first term. Let me write it out here. So since cotangent x is factored, we have left negative 2 in the second term. So negative 2 equals to 0. Okay, now the product of two quantities equals to 0. Whenever the product of two quantities equals to 0, either the first one equals to 0 or the second one is equal to 0. So when I equate the first one to 0, I'm getting cotangent x equals to 0. When I equate the second one to 0, I'm getting cosine square x negative 2 equals to 0. Okay, now we cannot do anything more with this one. Okay, now let's do some simplification in this one. So let me add 2 to both sides. Then negative 2 positive will cancel out. I'm getting cosine square x equals to positive 2 on the right side. Now to get up the square over here, I'm taking square root on both sides. Whenever I take square root on both sides of an equation, for one of the square roots, I have to consider positive or negative sign. So I consider positive or negative sign for the square root which contains a value constant inside the square root. So here on the left side, the square root and square will cancel out. I'm getting cosine x equals to positive or negative square root of 2. Okay, now let me consider this particular equation over here. So that is we get cosine x equals to positive square root of 2 or cosine x equals to negative square root of 2, because here we have positive or negative sign. So we can take this square root of 2 one time for positive sign, another one is other time for negative sign. And cosine x equals to the approximate value of square root of 2 is 1.414, and the same thing we can do over here, negative 1.414. We already know that the range of cosine x is, let me write over here, negative 1 less than or equal to cosine x less than or equal to positive 1. So this is the range of cosine x. So the value of cosine x can be negative 1 or greater than negative 1. And also the maximum value of cosine x is 1. Otherwise it has to be less than 1. So the value of cosine x always has to be from negative 1 to positive 1. But the two values which we get over here for cosine x are out of this range, negative 1 to positive 1. Since both the values are out of this range over here, so no solution for this equation, that is cosine x equals to positive or negative square root of 2. Okay, let me erase the stuff over here. So for this equation, no solution, because the value we get for cosine x is out of the range. Okay, now what we can do is we can solve the first equation, that is cotangent x equals to 0. Okay, so we can better we can convert this cotangent x to as a tangent. So because cotangent is a reciprocal function of tangent. Usually whenever we solve trigonometric equations, we would like to have only the three trigonometric functions, sine, cosine and tangent, so that we will be able to get the values either from unicircle or trigonometric ratio table. So so instead of writing cotangent x, we can write this one as 1 over tangent x equals to 0. So because cotangent x equals to 1 over tangent x using reciprocal trigonometric identity. Now we can take reciprocal on both sides of this equation. If we take reciprocal for this 1 over tangent x, it will be tangent x over 1 or simply tangent x. Okay, whenever I take reciprocal for 0, it's undefined. Let me write it. Okay, now I got that tangent x equals to undefined. So now I have to find the angle measure x in the given interval for which the tangent x is undefined. So I know very well that the tangent x is undefined for two angle measures in this interval. So one is pi over 2 and other one is 3 pi over 2. So for these two angle measures, tangent x is undefined, and we have these two angle measures in the given interval. I solved the given trigonometric equation and I got two values for x, pi over 2 and 3 pi over 2.